Bogor. In this July, we are about to run an English club, an English speaking program, and we need some English native to help grow this program. And this program is very ambitious, it's very serious.
Okay.
And this is going to be a long-term running.
Okay.
1 year contract. If we reach a deal, you can think about it. If you're interested in our program, if you're interested in growing, in helping, and taking part in our program, we are so glad to have you. Okay.
I'd say to that, the only thing is I don't know if I can commit to a year at the moment because a lot of things are kind of changing for me from month to month. However, I'm open to like kind of staying in the beginning and seeing how it goes. And then depending on my situation, whether I can go forward or not, then that's obviously we can speak about that as it goes.
Yeah, it's gonna be negotiable. And would you introduce yourself a little bit about yourself and your experience teaching English and everything?
So my background's a little bit of a mixed mash. So obviously my name is Shivani. I'm 26. I actually currently live in Scotland. And I've been living there for about 8 years now. Previously, I grew up in Indonesia, actually. So I'm Filipino with a German father. Grew up in the Philippines, then I moved to Hong Kong, and then I moved to Bali, and I stayed there for my elementary school. And then I moved to Bogor, actually, for my middle school and my high school. And then that's actually when I learned Bahasa because I went into a school that couldn't speak English. So, and then that actually was the beginning of my experience for English tutoring and teaching. I never went into it like super professionally. It was just something that I did volunteering on the side because it was something I could do to give back in a way. So I spoke to my teachers in middle school when I was in the 7th grade. And then they kind of organized a few like local classes in a few mosques in multiple like local communities around Sentul and Bogor. And then I would go like once per week, sometimes twice per week, but mostly once per week because my schedule is a little bit hectic. And then I just try to build the lesson plan as I would go. And then eventually I got to efficiency where I could actually kind of deliver classes. And then I did that throughout high school. And then closer to the end of my high school, it kind of tapered off. And then once I moved to Scotland, that wasn't necessary anymore because they speak English there, although they speak English with an accent, so it could fool me. It's not really English. So then that then changed over to chemistry and biology, which is actually my major. So in terms of like teaching English, I never did it professionally. It was always on a volunteer base, just because I enjoy teaching anyway. And I feel like quite often in the communities, I noticed that a lot of the English classes that I would attend, for example, in my local school that I was attending, like the English teacher who was teaching me was proficient enough for conversation, but to be honest, in terms of like education, she was lacking, which is not her fault at all. You know, it's just the education system. So then that's when it kind of started to like, okay, actually, there's a little bit of a gap here because they're learning English in a way that doesn't actually help them. You know, it's not practical because quite often when you break down the language into like these little small parts, people then don't know how to use it practically and actually communicate with it. And then eventually they don't end up passing that barrier of beginner to intermediate. So I kind of tried to bridge that gap for most. And it was pretty successful for most of the students. I struggled a little bit with the young boys, but I think that's kind of a universal thing because they were always in the class for a lot of fun. But so then that would kind of try to change the class into a more interactive, fun type of learning because then it would get them more engaged. But yeah, it's been a while since I've done that. So I would have to revise lesson planning and English teaching before I do that. But I would do that obviously if I would have to lead up to a class or something, because I'm a big fan of preparation. So yeah, that's kind of my background in that.
Okay, what did you say?
Okay.
Sorry, I'm a big fan of. You're a big fan of?
Preparation. So
Oh,
like for me, going into a class, preferably my initial targets are like first class is more, sorry, iPad. So my first class usually is more about getting to know where each individual is. And then from there, I would then take that information and try to break it down so that I can make a lesson plan. But I've always had classes with various skills. I've never had one class with like the exact same level of English speaker, if you know what I mean. So like the proficiency level is all over the chart. So I kind of have to adapt to that. So yeah, the experience that I've had in tutoring English is kind of varied and pretty like jumpy. It was more like winging it, if you know what I mean. If you're familiar with the phrase, you go in the class, you figure things out, you go back, you revise, and then you change the lesson plan as you go as well, because it was never a stable class. So
yeah.
I've always had to jump between different mosques and jump between different people. I had some students who, obviously the students who did the best were the ones who were very consistent in showing up. And then you had those who would just show up every once a month, but at least they would gain something out of the class that they were in. So that was always the goal. So I never went into a teaching degree. My degree is actually in science and nutrition. But tutoring has always been something I've done on the side. And then English teaching, while I've been in Indonesia, I'm kind of piddling at my thumbs here because I've been traveling in Asia for the past few months, and it's getting to that point where I'm kind of like, I need something to do, something that gives me satisfaction, because I do enjoy teaching. And then if I'm able to, then maybe going back into teaching English would be something that's ideal for me. But I'm open. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
The one of the goals of the programs is actually to teach the old generation teachers at schools,
Okay.
because we are the schools collaborated with us, and so it's not just to teach help school students speak
Yeah.
English, but also school teachers and also the staff members.
Mm-hmm.
So they are old generation teachers. They are above 40-year-old. So
Okay.
it's going to be challenging. So how do you deal with that situation?
Very interesting. First of all, love the idea, because I think you're tackling the problem at its root. As I said, a lot of the English educators here in Indonesia lack that ability to deliver. Because I think I got corrected on my past tense, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, you were actually wrong. So great idea. I really love it. So for me, if it's going to be for educators, now I often find that educators go back to traditional ways of teaching languages, and I think that's kind of the wrong way to tackle it. Yes, I think the understanding like sentence building is really important, but at the same time, I think they overemphasize the importance. So for me, I think I would try to deliver more and emphasize the importance of actual usage of the language and trying to get into like the practicality of the usage, because once you break that down, then everything becomes easier, because once you're able to actually use the language just a little bit, you start to learn the language. Because I found that when I was trying to learn Indonesian, I obviously living in Indonesia since I was in elementary school, I didn't pick up the language up until I had to pick up the language, if you know what I mean. So being forced to use the language is what made me learn. So I think I would rather try to teach the emphasis on like, use it. Like, don't be afraid to like go away from traditional ways of learning and breaking down sentences and trying to like follow textbook to the T, and actually go away using textbooks as a tool rather than your kind of guide to learning. So that would be my approach. I would then go away and try to like speak to the educators and see what what they experience in classes, and see what their problems are, like where the so obviously they do testing in schools, and they do their like quizzes and stuff like that in their classes. Then I would try to see the common denominator on like what actually are the problems among all the teachers, and then maybe address it through that. So that's kind of how I would tackle it, because they know where the students they have are lacking, and most of the time it's usually in the similar platform. And if we can tackle that, then I think we can move forward. So that's kind of my way to do it. Obviously, not been in Indonesia for so long, I would then have to survey this a little bit better, but you guys maybe know better than that. So you could advise me on that as well. But I'm open to like discussion and stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
But I love the idea. That's really an exciting, because I think that's the best way to do it, because you know, even some of the I used to read Indonesian made English textbooks that I would get from Gramedia, because I actually did like UN packets, you know how they would do, like, yeah, because I didn't have I moved so often that I actually didn't have my elementary documents, so I had to do the SD UN thing. And I tried to follow the national standards of English learning and the English textbooks, and I actually found mistakes in the Indonesian English textbooks. So for me, it's kind of like going away from like traditional ways and using the textbooks only as like tools for enforcing the learning rather than that. But the teachers will nowadays will probably have different books, and I would have to look into that more to really have a specific answer, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much actually for the information, yeah, Shivani. Yeah, very interesting your experience, yeah. So it means that even you are not truly what is that profession as a teacher, but you like tutoring, yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
like teaching everywhere. So now my question actually, what is your exactly activity today? What is your
In that sense,
what do you do by the way?
My occupation?
Yeah, your occupation now.
Okay. So I do a number of things. My main occupation, which gives me my main income, is actually as a dog groomer, as a cat and dog groomer. Ironically, while I was doing my bachelor degree in Scotland, I picked up dog grooming as a means to pay for all my tuition fees. And it turns out I had a bit of a talent in that, so I've just maintained that as my main job. I'm also a carer, but that's because I live with two elderly people who do need the care in Scotland. So I have two carer jobs. I'm a groomer. I own a honey business. So I keep bees. I know this is really random. And then on the side, I tutor high school and middle school children in chemistry and biology, but that's more of a pastime. So don't know why my iPad's not charging right, but hopefully it keeps on until the end of this. So yeah, my occupation is a little bit odd. I'm also a nutritional therapist, so I take on clients and I advise in nutrition. So I do a number of things. The grooming is my main thing. It's my main specialty because it's the most stable income that I have, and it's so time consuming that I end up not having as much time for anything else. But that's slowly changing because obviously with me being out of Scotland, I own the business and the people who work for under me, I've trained myself. So I've trained them how to groom from scratch. And so the idea is that will one day become passive income, but I do enjoy it so much, so I keep going back into it. So that's my occupation's a bit, yeah. But being here in Asia means that I'm out of Scotland, which also means that job-wise, I'm kind of at a pause because I've been traveling. So, yes. that's where I am. And I know that's a bit confusing.
Oh yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Shivani. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been in Indonesia anyway?
So after moving to Scotland and living there for like 8 years, I came back in December. But I didn't stay in Indonesia because I kind of traveled over to like, the Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia. I was kind of meeting and catching up with old friends and family while I was in Asia, because once I'm here, jumping country to country is actually pretty easy. It's just getting here that's hard. I mean, it's expensive. And then I came back again to Indonesia, and I've been here since March so far. And I've extended my visa until September. So I have 4 months on my visa at the moment. Now, that's the only thing. I am a Filipino citizen, so I am on a tourist visa. So that's the only thing that might be a bit of an iffy thing, because if this was like official work, that means I would have to be sponsored, unless I would just do this as a kind of, on the side kind of work, rather than like, if you know what I mean. Because obviously without a work visa, I'm not actually allowed to have like an official job. Yeah, so that's my only confusion, but I'm not really sure how it works in Indonesia just yet. So yeah, but I maybe leave that. Maybe you guys know more about that than I do.
Okay, yeah. So it means that your citizenship today is Filipino, yeah?
Yes.
Filipino. And it means that if you'd like to work in Indonesia, firstly, you must have the kind of working visa, yeah,
Yes.
in Indonesia. And how if you are only being a guest teacher, for example, yeah, not permanently, not working as a teacher, actually, but we have a program at school, for example, but within a day, for example, we invite a guest teacher, guest teacher without any banner, without any what's that normally, yeah, without any dealing as a working, yeah, but
Okay.
as a guest only. Would it be possible?
Yes, yeah, I'd definitely be open to that.
Okay. Then by the way, how about the budgeting, for example? Very sorry to asking actually. For example, we have a program in Bekasi.
This is the most
Yeah,
important.
the most important one actually, the most crucial one actually. The question is about budgeting for you.
Yeah.
To invite you to the program actually as a guest teacher.
Yeah.
How much is it, by the way?
Okay.
Just be open.
Yeah. To be fair, and in full transparency, I actually have no idea. So my situation at the moment is I have a little bit of passive income. So I can be pretty afloat on my own. For me, in terms of like income when it comes from teaching, from English teaching, because I also have no background, I'm open to like having like a lower rate as well, as long as it's just fair enough to like cover my way there. I'm not asking for much, you know what I mean? As long as I can cover my way there and back, and then it also gives me a little bit of something here in Indonesia, because since I'm not in Scotland, the passive income that I have is fluctuating just because I'm not there to run my own business. So for me, I'm kind of open to suggestion, because in full transparency and honesty, I actually am not really sure where things lie in Indonesia. I know there's like the basic income for people in Jakarta that's like around, correct me if I'm wrong, like 5, but whether or not
5 million rupees, correct?
Yeah. So obviously it would be great if it was more than that, or at least I'd get something that's like worthwhile for my time as well. But I'm open to like working with your budget as well. So, because obviously this is a new program and you guys are doing this thing, and I like the idea, so I'm happy to actually support it more than just like out of, the want for money. I'm not completely materialistic in this
teaching area, yeah.
Yes, exactly. I was gonna say job, but it was like can I call it a job if I'm a guest teacher? Yes.
A guest teacher. Okay, correct.
Yeah.
Shivani, it's okay to, if you want to offer something, it's okay, because if we have reached a deal and you join the program, of course, we respect you. We appreciate your work, your time, your energy, and everything. So it's okay to openly discuss about budgeting, like how much do you expect from it. So it's okay to openly discuss about it.
So for me,
For example, within a day, Shivani, within a day. Yeah,
oh,
from morning until the afternoon, for example.
okay.
The guest teacher will be like once a week. Am I right, Pak Sayuri?
Yeah. Guest teacher, it means that unscheduled actually, Mr. Dika. Yeah, as long as the school actually, because actually the permanent teacher is local teacher, local teachers actually, and then for improving the student confidence and the speaking skill, of course, we invite the native speaker like Shivani. Nah, the program, of course, it is not as many as the local teachers. Maybe only once within a month, or maybe once in 2 months, like that. Okay. But of course, we spend the native speaker time from morning until the afternoon, for example. Yeah, at least 4 hours, for example. How much is it, by the way?
Okay. So in terms of daily, I'm not sure. I'd say like a month ago, I was trying to get a job. Well, I wasn't really trying. I was kind of inquiring into different jobs here, for example, in grooming. And I was actually kind of aiming for at least 10 per month, just because it would enable me to move a little bit more smoothly, because I have to do like kind of cross country dealings quite often. And it also means that I can move, and because my dad actually lives in Bogor, he's a stroke patient. So part of the reason why I'm in Indonesia at the moment as well is also to visit him, and do multiple things with him. So that would be ideal for me, at least. But as I say, I'm not entirely familiar with this particular field. So for me, I would kind of have to look into it more than to give you a proper answer, if that makes sense. But I'm open to suggestion. But I will say, because I like the program, I am not entirely materialistic about this, because it also gives me a little bit of purpose, because I'm also looking for a job, not necessarily because I absolutely need it, because I have support from my boyfriend and my family and stuff like that. But it's also because like I want something to do that's worthwhile, that I feel is worthwhile, because I'm not the kind of person to just look for a job that will get me to, to pass the time. I actually want to do something that's worthwhile with my time. And I do think this program is really interesting. So yeah, I'm just gonna put that out there. But don't give me nothing. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, what do you think, Mr. Nico?
Yeah, I think it is okay because the last statement. So what is it? Don't give nothing. Don't give
Yeah.
me nothing. Okay.
Yeah, just
So
don't give me
we are
nothing.
trying to discuss about which one is the proper one. Yeah, I think Mr. Yuri and Mr. Dika, we can find out what is the proper one because this is within the day. Within the day, it's just like 2 hours, yeah, or 4 hours maybe
Yeah.
maximum. So I think so you know which one is the good one.
I'm also open to like having trial runs first as well,
Yeah,
just so I can see what it's like.
yeah,
And maybe so, because if I can sit in a classroom and then see for myself where things can maybe even be improved and stuff like that, and then I can like go away and make some notes and stuff like that, and then we can discuss. I'm open to that as well. Like I don't have to jump straight into a position. So
Okay, and how about the transportation, Shivani? Yeah, I mean that your mobility actually.
yeah.
I love
Transportation.
trains.
You love
I
train.
love taking
So
trains.
do I. I'm a big fan of train.
Yeah, so I'm happy to just take the train from Chawang.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So it's
In
Now, just
actually.
a little something. I don't know why my iPad's not charging, and now it's at 1%. So if it does die, we can move on to WhatsApp, just so you know. But
Yeah.
we'll continue until it dies.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
program
much.
will be mainly held in Bekasi. So is it reachable for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, but because Bekasi is integrated to Jakarta, actually, it's easy to reach Bekasi. Yeah.
Yeah. I spoke about it with my boyfriend the other day. And I think he literally told me that East Bekasi, I can get there within like 30 minutes on the train and
Correct.
through public transport. And I'm pretty proficient with like Grab and Gojek as well. So for me, it's like, Gojek, train, Gojek kind of thing.
Is it okay for you, Shivani, with that kind of mobility on the
Yeah,
train?
no, I'm
Okay.
happy with that. I love the train.
Yeah, with
What about in rush hour? Is it okay for you?
I don't mind it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. It's not as bad as Philippines, believe it or not.
Yeah. Okay. Correct.
At
And
least my feet still touch the ground here. In the Philippines, I was suffering.
then the question is, how good is your bahasa Indonesia, by the way?
Okay, bisa, tapi emang agak kaku.
Kaku.
So,
Wow.
emang dulunya bahasa Indonesia aku lebih bagus dan lebih lancar, but now it is a little bit, start go, especially if I'm jumping between languages. So, it's gotten better. Pas aku balik dari Desember itu malu banget ngomong bahasa Indonesia. But it's okay lah. It's good enough for conversation and I understand everything. It's just sometimes when I'm speaking, emang jadinya agak kaku sometimes. Just on occasion. But if I get into the flow of it, it's actually okay.
So it means that we are not really much worried actually, yeah. For you in Indonesia, yeah, to get lost
Yeah.
for example,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you speak bahasa
Bahasa Indonesia is
Indonesia.
okay for me.
Yeah, you can thank my lucky stars on the fact that I went into an SMP school, yang swasta. They could not speak Indo at all. So it was either learn Indo or not pass the grade, and so I decided to learn Indo.
Okay,
By the way,
Shivani. So, let's say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your bahasa Indonesia?
I would say in terms of listening and reading, I would say listening would be a 9 at the moment. Reading would be maybe a 7 because sometimes it takes me longer to read now for some reason. And speaking, depending on how long I've been speaking it, like after warming up, it can range from between maybe a 6 and a 9, just depending.
Okay.
So like I'd say, for example, if I go into a Grab car from the airport to Bogor and it's an hour and I'm talking to the Grab driver, after a while it comes back pretty easily. But initially it can be a little bit because I used to speak it daily. It was to the point I actually almost forgot English when I was in middle school. So that's how bad it was.
How about the cultural aspect? Do you think that Indonesia is very different with Scotland or Philippines, maybe?
Oh yeah, definitely. But for me, Indonesia has actually always felt more like home than anywhere else because I grew up here. So sure, I grew up in Bali and I was in international schools and stuff like that. But my strongest memories were actually in SMP and SMA in Bogor. So for me, like in terms of culture, I actually relate more to Indonesian culture than anywhere else. So ironically, Indonesia is kind of my home. Scotland's my home too, except for some reason I choose places that require me to have visas. So that's
where did you go to SMA in Bogor, by the way?
So I went to SMP was in Fajar Hidayat in Sentul, and then SMA was actually in Al Taqwa College in Hambalang. Although SMA-nya emang it's technically an international school, tapi like we mostly spoke Indo, so like I wouldn't really class it as a proper international school.
Al Taqwa, Shivani.
Al Taqwa College.
It sounds Islamic school, yeah?
Yeah, ako emang mualaf dari SMP.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so.
Al Taqwa, Al Taqwa is the Islamic actually.
Yeah. Fajar Hidayah as well. Fajar Hidayah was my first exposure to Islam.
What is the most memorial part of your childhood in Indonesia?
Cendol. So forever my favorite thing. That and bubur sumsum.
Yeah, bubur
Oh,
sumsum. Yeah, bubur sumsum is the same as cendol actually. The taste is sweet.
Similar, yeah, kind of.
Similar actually. Cendol is Sundanese
Like,
actually, but in Java it is es dawet actually.
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
Dawet
that's
in Java actually, but in Bogor actually it is cendol. Bogor,
mhm,
Bandung, they call cendol actually.
yeah.
The
And
same as me actually. I like cendol a lot actually.
I love chendol. It's one of my favorite. I could eat it all day, every day. And I did travel quite a bit. So like I liked hiking and all that stuff. So I'd say in terms of like an experience memory, probably like being at the summit for Mount Dieng. So that's one of the memorable, and also Karimunjawa. Actually, I can remember having like kelapa bakar di Karimunjawa. Oh,
Kelapa bakar, wow, yeah, nice actually. There is one in Bekasi actually kelapa bakar. Oh, lost actually, Sir Dika. Uh-uh. The iPad is low battery, sir.